Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome to my backyard. Thank you for being here live. Oh my goodness. We are having such crazy weather that I've had to do something I've never done before, which brings us to spring equinox and what we're doing, things we've never done before, and getting used to the new. Normally, what you see behind me with all this green doesn't come till June 1st. So everybody's confused, but we are grateful for the warm weather. But we're having fires, and so it's too windy for a real fire, and I wouldn't be able to manage it and blah, blah. So I have all the candles as if we were inside. I did change up the altar. I mean, it changes every time, y'all, but this time we have the warriors holding it down in the middle. The mothers are holding it down at the base. And of course, masculine, feminine are at the top, and all kinds of little stuff for me and the world and you and my community and everything that we love and that we are birthing anew with this spring season. So deep breath. Whew. That song is good for letting go of the past and completing all this Pisces juju. We're still in amidst, right? It's not done yet, but it's real close. Mercury and Mars got to finish up and join the Aries party, but they are on their way. They're on their way to the party. They called. They'll be here soon, but you know, Mercury retrograde had to take a detour. So we are all still processing in the Pisces zone, preparing to make moves or make decisions in the Aries zone. But this is our spring season kickoff. And we know with global warming and everything, all the different seasons may seem a little different. So we have to be present and learn what we're doing. But in the rhythm, in the solar rhythm, we are ready to spark something new, to kick something off. And this equinox is super special because it's way more than the annual reset, thanks to Saturn and Neptune, who are only there every 30 and 165 years. Micro to macro, the individual social collective reset it's on every level and no one is exempt, right? So thinking about what you're birthing for the year of 26, this is when we might take our first step or start thinking about taking our first step, start dreaming the new, like how can you do what you do, but possibly in a new way, in a different way going forward. We also think of this season as the kickoff of the next 6 months. You'll see the fruits of your labor by fall equinox. That's when we assess the harvest. So this is just the beginning, just the first steps. That's what spring is all about. And it's equal balance. You see where the sun is. Y'all have been in my yard. It's usually over here for the winter. Now it's equinox. It's going straight down the middle, and I'm going to have to turn one more time for the summer because it'll be setting further over there. So we're following that, but this equal day and night is our one of two chances each year to access true, natural, physical, literal balance. So I'm always drawing people's attention to that fact during the chaos, because generally Pisces might have us in the chaos of trying to dream something new or to develop our vision for the new year and things like that. And some things you may be able to take the first step on sooner than later. And then other things, it's kind of like a sleepy wake up right now. We're waking up from the slumber of winter. And everything's kind of new. So we want to be present and paying attention to the step by step, whatever we're doing, and conscious of our choices, because Aries and Mars and all that rules our choices and decisions. So like we say with the natural rhythm, which I say every time, is winter, spring, summer, fall is ruled by Aries, Libra, and Cancer, Capricorn. And they have to do with our fundamentals, self versus other and home versus work, which are things everyone has to deal with. It's also a time of change and choices and movement and things to do. So if we do our proper processing the month before, which is always Virgo, Pisces, or Gemini, Sag. So we're coming out of the Pisces one, which is emotional processing. How do you feel about everything that's ended? And how are you feeling about the new beginning coming in? And as we process how we feel about those things and where they fit in our body and our space and our nervous system, everything in Virgo Pisces resets that system so you can function better when you go to do Aries, Libra relationships and other things with other people. So we do want to still get ourselves together or work on any health or new routines and new systems and things that you're trying to bring in to support yourself or the new projects that you're working on and things like that. And at the same time, the month after brings Leo, Aquarius, and Taurus, Scorpio, where we anchor permanently or release permanently. So if we do the rhythm, it's process, choose, anchor, or release. And the reason is once you've made certain choices and decisions, either you got to get rid of stuff because it doesn't fit in the new paradigm, or you have to anchor the new things that you've just chosen. So it's always one or the other with the fixed energies, but it's kind of think about locking in or letting go completely so that you can bring something new into physical form. Because a lot of times with Taurus, Scorpio, especially, Taurus is the resources and the things that we can manifest ourselves, and Scorpio is our shared resources and that karma around sex and money and food and being sustainable and being supported and protected and safe, right? So those things come up as we make these choices and decisions. And that's just the season. So of course you can do some spring cleaning, the resurrection energy. There's lots of cultures that spend most of February fasting and letting go and ending so that they can come into the spring season and have that Easter resurrection or whatever. There's something for all the seasons, and this is our spring. So think about the new beginnings and the first few steps you want to take. And like I said, we have such rare energetic support around our new beginning that the other thing to just kind of keep in the back of your mind is that it's bigger, it's more important. The results are going to be more long lasting than 1 year. We're looking at 5, 10, 20, 30, 50, 165 year cycles, like bigger 250. And then there's the eras and all kinds of big cycles. So that's why I said it's kind of micro to macro, no matter how you look at it. But we've been in this zone for a while now, and in with all that Pisces energy with Neptune, the last 14 years have been dissolving the last 165 and preparing us to dream up and to birth something new out of everything that we've learned. And we have enough access to information and different things that we can find out what we need to know about how things went back the last time these planets were in these places. Right now, we're looking at the 90s in the 30-year cycle. So for those of you old enough, you've run a full reality of Saturn, and it's time to call in a new roles and responsibilities, essentially. And that is echoed in the chart. So with the chart, it's really tightly packed with 5 Pisces and 6 Aries and 2 Taurus. But that Pisces Aries is all packed in the 10th and 11th house, which is our career, reputation, what we want to be known for, how we want to be seen going forward, and our community that supports that. And the friends and the hopes and dreams and the vision for the future, because we're talking about basically the Capricorn and Aquarius house, or the Saturn and Uranus, where we want to have a solid base in some place where we can be protected, but we also know that we're in new territory. So we're probably going to have to do some things differently. And it's not always comfortable at first, but once you get a rhythm, it starts to be a lot more comfortable and we get better at the new. The other thing I just want to say to pay attention to is the other thing about Pisces into Aries energy that we're so immersed in right now, y'all. The water and the fire, our emotions and our spirit are churned up right now and and wanting to be heard and wanting to be communed with on some level. But the whole idea is to access or activate or strengthen and fortify your intuitive, empathic, psychic nature so that you are instinctive about your Aries choices, and they're just naturally and from the gut. You know what you're doing because you already know what you're not doing. Most of us all have that list pretty solid. And so thinking about your personal needs at this time and your personal dream at this time, what is trying to be birthed and what's trying to come through. The transformation with Pluto's happening in the 9th house of our consciousness and belief systems. So again, I think we need to project a little forward rather than reaching back, even though, we all honor the ancestors and they're very present today. And I was going to say, even without the fire, the candles will pop and testify too, and we'll know they're here. But it's important for us to know that the ending new beginning is not a bad thing. We want to just co-create with it and use the energy for what it's good for, right? What it supports, rather than pushing the river or trying to force our will. Juno, the little entity that helps us with commitment and intimacy in particular, has been in Capricorn for a couple of months. It's wrapping it up and heading toward Aquarius when she wants to be free. Right now, she's talking about commitment and how we do that in our intimate and closest partnerships. So know that it's renegotiation time. and know that it's okay to be like, I've evolved this way or that way. I used to believe that, but I don't believe that no more. I used to think that, I don't think that anymore, based on your experience or based on the evolution you've been through. And know that she only comes around here every 4 to 5 years. So it's important for those of you with strong Capricorn Aquarius cusp to know that those commitments are getting, let's say, an upgrade, right? It's tied to, in this chart, for our kickoff, and this chart kind of guides the next 6 weeks, it's tied to our shared resources, and that part of how you channel your creative power and your power to manifest and to create the life you want to live. So you're kind of recommitting to yourself in ways of like, I'm going to do this better. I'm going to do this more consistently. I'm going to do this more consciously and pay more attention to the little things. That I really do believe in that. And then Capricorn is the council of elders or the council of grandmothers. So we're definitely inviting that wisdom to come through as you do make new choices in your commitments and intimacy in particular. The Taurus energy is in Sirius. So how are you feeding yourself? How are you taking care of yourself? This is another one that only comes around every 4 to 5 years to improve things. So she just came through a whole bunch of self-care stuff in Aries and how you really love yourself. And now in Taurus, it's the food, sex, and money. Where are the things that really feed you, protect you, and help you feel good about being here, being in a body? Because that's my big thing about Taurus. That's the part of us that knows it was supposed to be a joyful, pleasurable experience in a body, not struggle from the cradle to the grave, right? So we're calling in a new vision to do this at a new level. And Uranus is helping liberate in the 12th house. That's our self-sabotage zone. So again, let's not do things the old way. Catch yourself. It's easy to slip back into old patterns and do things the old way, but we don't want to do that because Gemini is actually ruling this chart. So we absolutely are bringing in new ideas and new consciousness and new thinking and new ways of expressing the self. That first house is the individual self. Jupiter in Cancer is finishing up and moving on to Leo soon. So it's still in water, still moving us to edit that story with the ancestors. But here the story is the self-value. What did you inherit that was good, that helped you have self-esteem and self-worth and self-value? And what did you inherit that did not feed that well? And how can we make some corrections to help that? Because this Jupiter always brings improvements and trying to expand things in a good way, in a positive way. But if things are already dark, it can sometimes make that bigger too. So we don't want to do that. And that's what I mean by the chart is totally tied up. I don't even know if you can see this, but it's only those 2 houses. Everything else is spread out. So we are supported to dream right now. Part of our new beginning will be tied to the new roles and responsibilities and the new communities. So our energetic support for March 20th to May 5th is what we look at now. Before I jump in, I do want to say that this season is guided by Aries. So that's where our initiation energy is happening. And in your post-call goodies, you always get your personal activations. And that tells you where Aries, Libra, and Cancer, Capricorn are for you. The Aries is where we're initiating anew, which means Libra side, we're integrating something. We're balancing something out that's already been building on and building on and building on, and now we need to balance it. That means that Cancer Capricorn zones need to grow and change and be challenged in a certain way, which again comes back to personal security and your financial security, home and work, and how those things work together. This is where we're changing because we need to support the new identity and purpose. We need to support the new relationships and partnerships we're calling in. So we may have to shift some things around to have our needs met. And so when we look at the energetic support, we kind of go planet by planet, and then we do activations and alignments, and then the seasonal reading and divinations, and that's the fun stuff. So for our energetic support, the moon this season is moving through Aries, Libra, of course. We're in that pattern. I should remind you of full moon preceding the new moon. So we are clearing and releasing before we plant seeds. And that does that for about 18 months. We clear first before we plant seeds clean. And that's what we're doing now. So Libra full moon comes in first, April 1st, just around the corner. And that's why pretty much for the rest of March, we're still swimming in these Pisces waters. But April 1st, everything starts to move forward. Starting with the full moon in Libra, we release those imbalanced relationships or those commitments that don't feed us, or there isn't a proper exchange, right? And I tell people all the time to review this regularly, at the very least annually, asking, you know, is it still worth it? Is this still what I want? Is this still, am I still committed to this? You know, and then it falls in this modern world under your little auto pay things. If you don't pay attention to what they're doing auto around here, you could get caught up, and it's not fun trying to clean that mess up. So I encourage you to check those things at least annually. I would do it monthly personally because it's so crazy out there. But this month, we want to clear first any imbalances within ourselves, and then think about what imbalances are not helping your new identity and purpose, or the new roles and responsibilities that you're claiming right now. Right. So if we clean that up with Libra Aries first, that's all really good. And it's also a lunation on this side of being done, finally done with Aries Libra eclipses, I believe. You know, somebody could correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe we're done with those. So this is kind of the graduation of that. We've been in some changes around our identity and how we want to relate with people and have our exchanges for the last 2 years. And now it's graduating, and it's going to move on to some new territory. The Scorpio full moon preceding the Taurus super new moon means we're entering into the super new moon zone of the year, right? Every year we have a couple of super new moons and a couple of super full moons, and it changes every year who does what when. So spring this year is the new moons. Super moons means that because it's the new moon, you won't see the moon. The moon's too close to the sun. But if you're looking at sunset like this, it might seem bigger and brighter. Just like with the super full moon, it'll be bigger and brighter and seem closer in your visual, right? Because no matter which way we're doing it, in this case, it's the super new moon, it's an alignment between the sun, moon, and earth that just comes into alignment. So our first lunation is about you, the individual, and what you want and all that. And then when we get to that Taurus new moon, it's what are you really going to cultivate and create and bring into physical form this year that can feed and support and protect you. So working with the moon helps us with our personal rhythms. So thinking about your own moods and thinking of your moods as your messengers. They're trying to tell you something. When a mood just comes on you like that, it's got a message. You want to stop for a minute and ask what that message is. We're also doing cardinal and fixed, which means there's lots of choices and decisions that are going to be based on those moon emotions. And then you're going to be anchoring permanently or releasing permanently with the Taurus Scorpio lunation. So just thinking about how you feel about all these things. Mercury, like I said, still very much in its process, going direct yesterday. I was thinking today because it's spring equinox, but yesterday was the official equinox and Mercury forward, very powerful, but it's still going to be in Pisces till April 14th. So we have a couple of weeks, y'all, that we're still processing. But now we're on the other side of it. So there's the pre-shadow where Mercury hits things the first time. There's the actual retrograde where it hits certain planets the second time. And then what we're heading into now, what's called the post-shadow, where it hits things for the third time. Now, the reason I'm kind of making a big deal about Mercury is because the Pisces one, this one we're navigating now, is the most intense of the year. It's got the most hits. It's initiating anew with 4 different entities. So we're rethinking and redreaming our Venus values and priorities around our relationships and resources. Sun, how we channel our energy and direct our energy on our own behalf and shine our light in the world. Mars, who you are and what you want, which only comes around to these zones every 2 years. And North Node, the life path and direction, which is only in Pisces every 20 years. So this is, again, that micro Mercury, how you think about it, how you're processing what's coming up for you, what's being shown to you by your spirit guides, because there's a lot of working with the spirit team in Pisces. And then the ease and grace, that extra one is with Jupiter in Cancer, which is only there every 12 years. So this one has us really developing the new dream on multiple levels. Like, what do you love? What do you care about? What's going to protect you along the way? How you shine your light? And then what path and direction do you want to go for this new world we're coming into? This crazy world. Now, when it gets to during this year, Mercury's retrograding in all water signs. So we are recalibrating how to think with our feelings. So you can't be numbed out or dumbed down by the food and pharmaceuticals and craziness in the world. You've got to be able to feel certain things around your own personal needs so that you can respond accordingly. And so when Mercury retrogrades in Cancer, it's not hitting anything in the sky. That doesn't mean it won't hit your Cancer stuff or the stuff in your chart, but it's going to be a little smoother one for the world. And then the end of the year, when it retrogrades in Scorpio, it's only hitting 2 things, but one of them's Mars. So it is going to wrap up the ideas that we're like developing and kicking off now are really going to be the seed and foundation of what blossoms next for you. So the Mercury processing, all the emotions and feelings and things that come up along the way, we're doing that that all year. But right now we're finishing in Pisces, and that means we're finishing up. In this case, it's about every 5 to 6 years where Mercury retrogrades all in one element, like all water, like this. So it's been about 5 or 6. So I looked it up. The last time we did all water was 2019 COVID crazy. Think about how the monkey mind and our emotions got so turned up with that nonsense. So now just be mindful. You know, the gremlins are out there. They want to, you know, spark little dumb shit. You know, don't let them. Keep your boundaries good and do your processing. Pull back. Don't be out in the mix right now because it's not time for that right now. Right now is definitely time for processing. And then Venus is back to her graduation as of March in Aries, which is where she reset last year. This is the big one on our new identity and purpose. So whether you were with us or not, or whether you follow the Venus cycle or not, you still went through a process of releasing old values that just don't matter anymore so that you could open up to this new. And most of them were pretty highlighted around identity and purpose for the Aries cycle. This is the cycle we're still very much in right now. And we're doing the reclamation as we speak. And everyone's welcome to drop into the Venus circle right now, because this is when I also bring on guest teachers and we get a lot of extra good juju. And that's fun. But Venus is going to hit Taurus, which she rules, which is really her power, come March 30th. So that's just around the corner. And we'll be there until April 23rd. And then it'll hit Gemini. So half and half is half of our season. Venus is moving through Taurus, which again is resetting our values and what is really feeding and supporting and making us feel good. And then it's going to go, she's going to move to Gemini, and it's going to be more about how to be sociable and different things like that. So that's what I mean about the slow wake up too. You know, we're talking April, May, June. It's going to gradually increase energy because that fire and air energy is also going to gradually increase and get more and more. So if you already have a whole lot of fire and air, it's about to increase. So you might want to balance that out with some other things. And if you don't have enough, then it's going to help you out, and it's going to fill in some, it's going to give you energy that you might not normally have. So we like that. But just think how the values shift as she moves through your Taurus and Gemini houses. You know, what you really care about and how you express yourself is her little upgrade that happens about every 9 to 10 months. So Mars, on the other hand, is every 2 years. And so it's been a while since it's been in Pisces. Been in Pisces since March 2nd. It's going to be there all the way to April 9th when it'll hit Aries. So for our beginning of our season, we are in this Mars zone where, again, we're developing the vision of who we are and what we want. And at this new level of consciousness, at this new level in the world, however you want to look at that, Mars in Pisces can't stick and move the way it likes to. So it's a little frustrated because it's having to deal with feelings that you would normally probably push aside. At the same time, it's in Pisces at the end of this 2-year process that we can really look at this last 2 years and see where we've outgrown certain things and we're ready to do that in a new way. And so Venus in Taurus in her strongest place and Mars in Aries in his strongest place is really powerful for us as well. When Mars hits Aries, it's going to be there all the way to our next season. That's the real rebirth, the real reset of your new identity and purpose moving in a new direction. Or it could be your new creative project. Like I said, it's whatever you're focused on. And then Jupiter's in Cancer till June 30th. Saturn is in Aries for the duration. Neptune's in Aries for the duration. So we are really going to use this energy to set things off over the course of the next 2 to 3 years. That 2 to 3 years anchors 30. So it's okay. We're not going to be able to anchor 30 in a day. That's not going to happen. So it's going to be piece by piece, kind of building your new identity and purpose, goals and direction and desires and things that you want. That's all getting rebirthed in a big way. I mean, bigger than 2, but like I said, 2, 5, 10, 20, 30, 50-year cycles are all moving through Aries. Like Chiron's still in Aries, but next year it hits Taurus and the healing work is going to change. So I'm trying to encourage y'all to get the most out of your healing of yourself, of your true self, so that you feel comfortable in your own skin and feel safe moving around the world, making choices for yourself. And Pluto's in the Aquarius for the duration as well. That's 20 years we're going to have to deal with Pluto and Aquarius. That's a mixed blessing. On one hand, the technology that can really help us is probably going to be developed, but we're also going to see the toxic side of the nature, and that includes humans, nature and technology combo. It's a hard combo because they're raping the earth to do this technology thing, and they're not accounting for the regeneration that Mother Earth has to do this exponential infinite growth thing that capitalism likes to do. And, I'm not arguing all the semantics, but I'm just saying where we are right now, the better you can do with your own self-preservation and handling your little corner so that it holds you and protects you from the storm that's swirling outside your home and all around us. We can know what's going on, but if it's not happening to you, don't take your body through that, because your body doesn't know the difference. And half the time your mind don't either, but your body really doesn't know. And then that North Node in Pisces, which I said was like this 20-year cycle of your physical and spiritual connection, right? So this is part of our human existence, is that we have a body and a spirit that we have to accommodate, right? And so that big reset happens every 20 years. And again, it's a good reset to do, which means checking your nervous system, checking your health, making sure things work for you, because when it shifts, which is coming July 26th, and so which means we'll talk about it before then, it's going to move to Aquarius. And then our eclipses are already stirring up in Leo Aquarius, which is how you shine your light and offer your unique contribution. So if you're not healthy or feeling good or feeling connected to your spirit team and feeling supported and protected, you're not going to want to shine your light like that. You're not going to want to go out and play. You're not going to want to have fun, which I think Leo Aquarius should be, the masters of. And so that's what's coming next, y'all. And everything in astrology certainly is a response to the last thing in preparation for the next thing. So we want to look at how all this processing and going through our emotions and how we feel was necessary, so that when we go into these fiery zones where we're inspired and being creative and excited about something, we don't have to be fearful. We don't have to hold back. We don't have to have doubt, right? So that fire and air is pretty sure of themselves. So we want to definitely call that in for ourselves. Activations and alignments. Here's some big stuff. Here's more important things. So yesterday, we're still in the zone, I always say 3 days at least, of Moon and Venus alignment in Aries, with the Sun moving into Aries, with Saturn and Neptune moving into Aries. All of that brings this attention, let's say, to the rebirth. And Mercury going direct lets us know that maybe not immediately, but very soon we can move forward in a really positive way. So just know that this is feminine rooted choices and decisions and actions, right? So you're doing what feels right for you, right timing for you, right action for you. We're calling that in with this alignment, let's say. The 22nd, which is tomorrow, Sunday, Sun lines up with Neptune. And then on the 25th, 3 days later, lines up with Saturn. So here's the Aries party continuing, right? And so when Sun and Neptune get together, it lights up the dream. And a couple of days later, when it gets with Saturn, it's like, how are you going to manifest that dream? What are the bones of it? Right? The structural bones of what are the pieces that have to go in place first, and then we put the walls up, and then we decorate, right? So there's layers to manifestation that we're calling in right now. And at the same time, it could also mean talk to your spirit team first before you go commit. Right. So if we're going to work with Neptune before Saturn, and order matters, because it's not always in this order. Sometimes it's flipped. And a little while later in April, Mars is going to hook up with Neptune and Saturn back-to-back days apart. And Mercury is going to be there at the same time. So there's this whole Mercury, how we think and process, Mars, who we are and what we want, all getting together at the same time with Saturn. That Saturn's only there every 30 years. So that's a rare lineup that we might get a chance with that this year and next, and then it's gone. So we're going to get maybe 2 shots at this for the 2.5 years that Saturn stays in Aries. But this is a big deal for you to define your terms of how to express that new identity and purpose. So a lot of times what I'm realizing as I get older, every decade we are someone else. If you make it to 90, then you have had your 9 lives. It's literally a different person every decade from what I can tell. I'm not the same Kelly from the 80s and the 90s and the 2000s and whatnot. So, and every decade seems to be the rhythm, right? So think about, again, beyond the 1 year. And then if 30 is too big, just think the next 7. Think Saturn moves in 7-year increments. Our reality shifts, and here's another Kellyism. Our consciousness shifts every 3 years, our reality shifts every 7 years, and our path shifts every 5 years. So consciousness every 3, path every 5, reality every 7. And so for this meetup with Saturn means your consciousness is getting a reset, at least at a minimum, for the next 2 to 7 years. And Mars is a 2-year cycle. There's that too. And Neptune being there is just altogether rare, but it's going to also be a very slow moving 14-year process of Neptune in Aries kind of dissolving how we define a lot of things that way. So at the same time, that activates our spiritual warrior. You've got Mars there with Saturn initiating new energy and stamina, or energy and commitment. You know, it's coming together where your ideas and your ability to manifest them is really, really strong this spring, let's just say. And if you have strong Aries, Libra, and Cancer, Capricorn, then it's really, really super personal. And so I want you to take advantage. That party's happening in April. Mars to Neptune, April 13, Mars to Saturn, April 19th, Mercury to Neptune, April 16th, Mercury to Saturn, April 20th, and on the same day, Mercury to Mars. Now, the thing about the Mercury to Mars is it happened during its retrograde. So Mercury met up with Mars while it was in Pisces, and now it's meeting up with it again in Aries, which means we got some goodness to review the dream and the vision and to review the choices and actions we want to take before we jump off. So that little April party is going to be big, capped off by April 23rd, when Venus links up with Uranus. So when the feminine links up with Uranus, again, it activates changes and new energy, and it sparks your inner brilliance, and it's very creative. So it might be a lot of processing and preparing before you can take the steps and to have the fun with it, right? And get the good stuff. But it's coming. April, each month is going to get better. What are we talking about here? I'm going to the chat, y'all. Just curious about the energy of when Venus on 424 and Uranus 425 both ingress into Gemini within a day of each other. Ooh, what's the vibe? That's the big deal. I guess I should have wrote that down. That is the Gemini activation. So that is definitely activating new consciousness. What I think with Venus in the mix is that we are also having a social evolution. We are evolving as on social collective levels, which ties it in and makes it a little bigger. So I would also say changing the way we do our relationships and resources that, again, protects you from this technology, you know, in whatever way. Use it for what it's good for. Work the system. I believe in that, you know, make it work for you, really, is what I think that we should be doing. And at the same time, protect yourself because it's new. We're not old pros at this. This is all new. America's new. Everything we trying to do is new. We are a baby country, and we don't know what we're doing right now. And that whole cultural experiment of having the melting pot, we want to succeed with that, but that's a lot of work. That's a lot of work that we're putting in. So that's what you can call in with the values for the social collective levels too. If you're visioning for the social collective to do better or to have a higher level of consciousness along the way, that Venus hitting Uranus in that way can wake some people up. The challenge is to stay awake and not slip back to sleep. It's so easy to fall back asleep when we get woken up like that. So thank you, darling. Now we got the seasonal reading and the divinations. So with our spring equinox reading, these are PDF readings that I've created over the years, one for all 8 sacred seasons. And we ask 8 different sets of questions. They're different for every season. This season is our spring initiation season, but like I said, we're still just slowly waking up from a little bit of a slumber. So we want to wake up. I think I'm gonna go ahead and share the screen on this one since we don't have the beautiful fire. So the beginning of the new year, this is initiation and what's going to assist us. And this is the community reading. So when I'm pulling these cards, I'm thinking about what's good for the group, what's good for all of us. There's a little bit of everything in here. So because we're in such new territory, I believe we need to be looking for the possibilities and the opportunities in everything, even if it's a challenge and crazy and uncomfortable and you don't like it. What is this good for? What can this help me with? Why do I have to go through this to get here? You know, kind of thing. But exploring the possibilities and not really committing immediately, right? Feel it out, let it run through the system a little bit and check those possibilities to feel in your system which ones are going to be good for you. Now, gauging the imbalance, a lot of times we can get really extreme, and what is too much or not enough. Because we're in new territory, it can seem like a great adventure with Aries. It's always like, yeah, let's go. And then you get there and it's like, wait a minute. So we want to balance that out where we're open to the new, we're open to the adventure, but not to the exclusion of our safety and security, which we are still trying to figure out and build as well. Commit, accept, and then go for it. The new vision. It's like commit to the new vision, not to the old ways, right? Honoring your nature, balancing the masculine, feminine. In this one, and we'll see in a second, I ask how to integrate our less dominant nature and fortify our more dominant nature. So in Western culture, our masculine feminine is all confused. So if you're more receptive and laid back and you just sort of go with the flow and let things happen, then you might want to work on that masculine, being clear about stating your needs and negotiating your needs up front and things like that. Or vice versa. Maybe you're too much on, I'm doing this, this, and this, and everybody else get in where you fit in. Either way, we want to check where the imbalance is so that we can balance it out before we go forward. Navigating multi-dimensions, how to ease transitions. Flowering in this deck is the queen just spreading her seeds. So the other thing about being in new territory is we can't be too attached to outcome, right? So when you are praying for the things you want to manifest, really make sure you get in there the essence, the vibe, the feeling that you want to experience, because the example I use for this is the round house. I've always wanted a round house, but I don't want a round house that's a lemon that has a bunch of problems that drives me crazy. I want that feeling of open air, being connected to earth, all the good feelings I associate with a round house. I want to feel that. But if that comes in a square house, I'll be fine. I want the feeling. I don't care what shape the house is. So think about the things that you want, that you do want to manifest, that are physical, literal things, but think about the essence that they bring for you and where that value really is, and detach from really thinking you know what it should look like. Not easy. I'm not saying I'm any good at it at all, but practice and perfect a rhythm, which means integrate some playfulness. Again, when we're in new territory and we're looking for those opportunities, we want to look for the positive and the playful. And being natural, anchor and own it. Friendliness in this one is the two trees next to each other where their leaves are blending, but they're still two individual trees. And so we want to be friendly, we want to be connected, we want to do things with other people and what have you, but maintain your individual base by any means necessary. And the additional insight was awareness. So I was thinking, because of the Aries energy, self-awareness is going to be key, but also situational awareness, energetic awareness. When I was training my son in teenage years for parties, I'm like, parties are all fun till they not. And so when you feel the energy shift, you need to leave. Don't ask no questions. Don't argue about it. Just leave. The energy shifted. I have to go. This is no longer the energy and vibe I want to be in, right? We are going to have to do that in the world now. So just being aware. And then above and below are usually how we negotiate, move around the world, and then privately. In the world, participation is going to be key, because you want to experiment and improvise and try some new things. And so you should participate. You don't have to commit. You can just try it, right? That's what Aries is best for. It's the first step. We're just going to try this and see what works. We don't know what works till we get to doing it. So let's think about that when we're moving around with other people. Privately, you need to learn to trust your own body, mind, and spirit. You need to be able to trust your own instincts and intuition around how to move. And so the cards are really beautiful. Possibilities is this little eagle flying over, looking at everything that's possible. Adventure. All the colors of the rainbow are possible, again, in that spirit of wonder, that childlike wonder that don't know mind, right? Because we are in such new territory, we really don't know. We can think we know. The new vision in a traditional deck would be the Hanged Man, is just looking at things from another perspective. And maybe that's what you're doing. Maybe it's an altogether new vision, or maybe it's looking at what you already do from a new angle and expressing that at a new level. And then honoring your masculine, feminine, we got the integration. Temperance is also all about balance, but just integrating all our dualities, we have several, is going to be the key to balancing out where you might be a little extreme in this way or that way. There's that queen spreading her seeds, the queen of rainbows, and just open and receptive to the good. And you can claim that. Like I claim, I no longer have to learn through tragedy and loss and suffering. I don't have to learn my lessons that way. I can learn with ease and grace. I don't mind learning. I don't mind learning lessons and having to tweak as I go, right? We might have to tweak our little plan as we go. But at the same time, if you don't try, or you don't experiment, or you don't put yourself out there, then nothing can grow. So we do want to spread our seeds and see what pops this year. The playfulness, nothing is ever as serious as it seems. That's real. So what is strong within you already that you just need to activate and practice is the playfulness. Because in the world so heavy, And if you're an empath at all, which all of you are for sure, you're feeling it. And I say this, even if you're okay in your family, there's someone else in your family that's not okay. So you're still feeling it, right? And I'm sorry, humans are supposed to be playful. We're not supposed to be serious all the time. And then owning it, what you've already mastered so that it can support you for the next 3 to 6 months, is that self-preservation, but being open. You know, I'm open to other people and other things and possibilities and whatnot, but I'm still going to hold my own, right? And there's that awareness. The veils are thinner now, y'all. Things are opening up. You're seeing things a whole nother way. You're perceiving things a whole nother way. And you want to respond, not react, when you get those aha moments like that. Participation in all 4 directions. That's another thing to think about, is the 4 elements, where earth is our body and our physical life, water is our emotional life, air is our mental life, and fire is our spiritual life. So are you participating in all 4, or do you favor one or the other, or 2 of the others? Let's balance that out and get ready for new life. You know, the more balanced you are, the more new life and new stuff you can do. And that trust is like, again, flying into the unknown, knowing that you're holding that vision, you're going to be fine. You're going to get there. You're going to do what you have to do. And whatever you need is going to be there when you get there. We can trust that to a certain degree. And at the same time, faith and work go together. So we have to do our steps and do our due diligence and do our research. And this is already in the classroom for the replay. So those who signed up for the fire ceremony will have this. And this is a good little breath work to play with if you feel called. Anyone want to chime in on some of that?
Kelly, I kind of had a quick question. So I have a really big masculine center. Is there something that maybe a kernel in there about the balancing the
Well, all
feminine?
that Venus energy and linking up with Uranus is to do something different. So because when we are independent women, we do a lot of the masculine. We pay the bills, we handle the business, we take care of all that. So it's the receptive, allowing, setting the intention, and then seeing what happens rather than making it happen. Like I've had to really correct that in myself. I'm the queen of I'm gonna make that happen.
Mhm.
And so I'm learning to allow and to trust, you know, not to have to be the one that's organizing and managing every little thing all the time. So just try to feed your feminine nature, you
Yeah.
know, feed her. She's just a little hungry.
Yeah,
Uh,
and I feel like that plays a little into the outcomes that you talked about, like if you can release the investment in the outcome.
and just go for the experience and the essence. And then whatever it looks like is usually going to be perfect. I
Mhm.
mean, that's why Brad just came to my house and we had a great time.
Mhm.
I was so happy for feminine visit. You know, I live
Mhm.
with a bunch of men. I'm around masculine energy all the time. And so if I'm around too sensitive a women, I'm too masculine. So I get it. You know, we have
Mhm.
been those go-getters and leaders, and we're still going to do that. But now we want to kind of give it a feminine edge. And yeah,
Mhm.
just little practices. Catch yourself in the moment and correct in the moment. So if you're about to go do and take over and lead that way, then hold back. Wait a minute, what you gonna do? You know, let's see how everyone can participate and how you can receive. And look at how things show up, because feminine is also magnetic. We
Mhm.
magnetize with that. We don't really make it happen. We
Mhm.
magnetize. So play with your magnetic field too, like expanding it, pushing it out and seeing what happens, and then bringing it in real close to you and making it tighter so that you feel safer. A lot of times we need to do that to feel safe, but just play,
All
playful.
right. Thank you.
Thank you for asking. Questions are welcome. Now, our Equinox divinations. This one we went with the Vision Quest Tarot. I'm going to share screen again. So with Equinox, again, we start out in March, especially in Pisces, and then we end up in Aries. So there's an ending, new beginning. So basically, I asked for guidance on the current ending and the current new beginning, and any shadow that we need to look out for or be mindful of. And the other thing that happens with this deck is I love the mothers and sisters. I love the brothers and the fathers too. But I was also thinking about the Aries energy and the self-preservation, self-awareness, the other things that we've already kind of touched on. So I pulled out all the what would be court cards, right? Mother, father, sister, brother. I pulled those out, shuffled those, and got extra guidance on these. So the first one is the current ending, and the support for that is the Hierophant, shaman, and wisdom, one of the key words, transcendence, intuition, deep knowledge of underlying forces, clear insight into recurring cycles, otherworldly, extrasensory visions, supernatural talents. So we're activating our own inner shaman as well. In this Aries, a spiritual warrior, however you want to look at that, you are guiding yourself physically and spiritually with your spirit team and ancestors and those who support you. So for the ending, for the culmination, you want to get all the wisdom you can out of the last couple of years. The inner message, and then I think it's outer manifestation. The inner message says, the shaman inside you is capable of merging his intuitive perceptiveness with the wisdom of the elders. We've already had that validated too, to call in that wisdom. Meditate and find out what really motivates you, what your inner core truly desires. Don't waste time trying to fulfill more superficial desires. That's another thing. We waste time and energy and resources on little stupid shit. And then we're not even full. We don't have what we need to get the big stuff that we want. So let's think about that. They can never satisfy your ancient longing. That's real. That is not their task either, right? Shift your attention to what is essential. Most essential in your life is your own being. Without knowing the true essence of your being, your heart will always remain empty and dissatisfied. Without recognition of who you are, without inwardly awakening to that, you stumble like a drunkard through a maze of meaningless limitations. Remember yourself. Take the time and whatever space you need to explore your innermost being. For that, you don't have to go anywhere. Ashe. The outward manifestation says much of what feels no longer right for you is ready to leave or fall away. Be thankful. That's the other thing. We're creating a vacuum, that we're creating space for the new to come in. So letting go is okay and a natural precursor. You may have to go through the pain of disillusionment, but that's in fact your liberation. If you want to awaken to reality, no spiritual entertainment technique can help you. It is time to face yourself. The shaman merely reminds you of your spiritual heritage. He points to your source, the unnameable, the mystery of your existence, the power that created everything and absorbs you back into itself at the end of this life. Contemplate how to best spend your time. Deep breath. Woo. So this is being okay with those endings. And so I asked for the feminine support of that. The mother of fire came through for trusting oneself. Keywords are pride, authority, strength, courage, certainty, power to compel and succeed, passion, and sometimes arrogance, which is probably a shadow of this one. The inner message says to grow into genuine maturity is a lifelong endeavor. It won't happen overnight. We must pass through many valleys and scale as many peaks. This card tells you to remember your inherent strength as you get ready to take your rightful place in life. This enables you to make decisions from a position of truly compelling inner authority. The outward manifestation says your growing faith in your own path and personal development is now yielding rewards in many areas of your life. This inspires the people close to you to further develop their own trust in themselves. And by sharing your experiences and radiating your newly found trust in your abilities, you not only reward yourself, but others too. So again, with the completion, with the endings, with the letting go that's going on, you've got to trust it, trusting that it's going to make space for what you're calling in, but also trusting yourself that you're ready for that next new thing as well. Then for the new beginning, we got the sun evolution. Keywords are vitality, illumination, beauty, love, joyous fulfillment, contentment, bliss, ripeness. There's certain things we're finally ready for, y'all. Inner and outer abundance. The inner message says the light of the sun keeps us alive. Its warmth allows us to exist on the planet. No wonder our indigenous ancestors prayed to it as a god or goddess. To them, the sun most vividly represented the presence of an immeasurable and eternal divine power. Solar power makes you enter a new stage of life, which is happening now with spring. It's a new phase of happiness, fulfillment, and gratitude. Your inner sun is rising. Its radiance illuminates your path. You no longer need help from outside when you learn to trust your inner sun. That's what all our striving is truly about, to find our own unique way, to live our own realizations, to follow our own inner light. The sun is a sign that you are very close to this, Ashe. And this, I was really thinking about this too, because of the Aries and what I was saying earlier about micro to macro, how it's happening on a personal level, social level, and collective level. We are accessing new energy and we're going to be able to channel it in a new way. The outward manifestation says, with the dawning of a new awareness, everything changes within and without. And that goes to the Kellyism. Once you change, everything around you has to change or go away. It's just the natural law. It's not good, bad, right, or wrong. It's just how it works. So the vibrations of the coming age are touching you. They're altering your outlook, sweeping through your consciousness, freeing it from old thought patterns and the bondage of rigid routines. In this release, your energy wants to dance, to celebrate, and to soar to unknown heights. The sun reflects the pioneering spirit that forges ahead with unflagging optimism and strength for the benefit of all. Surrender to the kiss of the inner sun. Most of all, enjoy this eternal moment of being fulfilled with being filled with sheer presence. And I'm going to add being fulfilled. Yes, please. More fulfillment around for everybody. So how do we do that? What's our support for that? The self-actualization. This is the challenge with Aries. You want help, you need help, you deserve help. You're not going to get it. You have to do it yourself, all of it. And the beauty of it is once you do certain things yourself, you attract that opposite, that Libra balance to you. You attract that support. So that part of wanting something enough to go after it yourself, to make it happen, or allow it to happen, which is another thing that activating the inner sun made me think of how we want to be feminine about how we channel that masculine light. So self-actualization, the key words for the daughter of fire are earnestness and sincerity, unwilling to bind yourself. That's some real Aries stuff. Self-actualization, inspiration, love, faith, courage, hope, and innocence, right? Anything is possible. Here's the other thing. When nothing's in place, anything is possible, and ain't nothing in place. So we might as well call it in. The inner message says you feel deeply connected to the spirit in all of creation and should praise heaven for your inner realization, right? That awakening is such a gift. Remember that the oneness of existence includes yourself and remains forever intact, notwithstanding what we believe in or think about others. When we realize this oneness and maintain this awareness in our daily lives, we return to our innermost center. The outward manifestation says you are able to vibrate in accordance with your rising power. That's the other thing with all this fire and air is we're going to have more energy and more power. If we don't channel it right, it could cause problems. Just tune in to your own rhythms now. Trust the force that animates you, that fire within, right? It wants to lift you to high heaven like the smoke rising from a bowl of healing herbs, which I believe is what she's doing here. The greater your faith and the secret forces that guide, okay, our invisible team, our ancestors, and preserve your existence. They guide you and they preserve your existence. The more sure-footed your journey will be. Your path lies clearly before you, right? And that's the other thing. There's no going back. After we hit all this Aries, it's on and popping. We're going forward from here on out. Now, the shadow would be stagnation, the 8 of water. Keywords are stagnation, standstill, energy block, worries, listlessness, sadness, depression, and separation. So I'm also thinking about that Pisces water and how our fears and phobias are all tied up with that and how we could get stuck holding on over long to certain emotions and feelings and things like that. So the stagnation, the lack of flow, think your water, think your money, your flow, your creativity, your energy, energetic flow, creative flow, cash flow. We want it to flow. Any stagnation is not natural. It's a death-like existence to stop the flow like that. So we know that we're imbalanced if a little stagnation pops up. The inner message says nothing works, or at least that's how it seems, because the free flow of your energy is blocked by tension, a prolonged inner stiffness. Then sadness arises along with heaviness and feelings of oppression. That's what stagnation feels like in your body or your mind. Let go of your old burdensome ideas and of who you have to be or how you have to feel and live your life. Okay, the have tos, let that go. The outward manifestation says struggling against the current of our inner life force seems to strengthen the ego for a while, but in reality, we merely violate ourselves. Okay, so that Aries self-sabotage shadow, we don't want to do that. If you refuse to pay attention to the pressure that your unacknowledged feelings exert within you, okay, when we don't acknowledge how we feel, it just builds up and then blows at the most inconvenient time. Okay, nobody likes that. Then the pressures in your outer life will intensify. Sit quietly and let the energy knot soften within you. Move your body and allow your true feelings to come up to be dispersed. Then your vital forces begin to flow again very quickly. In essence, we just don't want to stagnate or get stuck anywhere. And so the support for that is self-awareness, the mother of air, just being aware of what's going on. The keywords are intelligence, inspiration, self-respect, confidence, inner strength, clarity, creativity, and courage. The inner message says this image depicts your strength to be who you truly are, not who you are supposed to be, should have been, or what others would like to make you become. Your self-confidence has been awakened. With it awakens the courage to drop your masks once and for all. This is the only way to enter your own center, the only way to your inner center. The outer manifestation says you have the intrinsic courage to express yourself with unmistakable clarity and to take your rightful place in life. This doesn't mean pushing anyone out of your way. You are learning to be more kind to yourself, no longer trying to please everyone else. Thus, you disengage from the preconceived ideas and the prejudices you may have also bought into. Now you are recognizing your absolute worthiness, Ashe. Just begin to behave accordingly. By respecting yourself, you are showing others how to treat you. If you honor and take care of yourself, other people will respond in kind. So being aware of your energy helps when you're magnetizing things that you don't understand. You're like, why did I have to have that experience? You know, then it's kind of going back to, well, where was my energy? What was I thinking about? What was I feeling? What was I going through when I called that into being? So again, we can't do anything with the outer world. We can only correct our own behaviors and our own thoughts. And my trick is to do it in the moment. I correct immediately so that it doesn't take root, right? And with the eclipses, we have an interruption in the flow of light. We have a way of breaking the old patterns that we're very much in the middle of right now. That is not just annual, but again, the 10 and 20-year cycles are really big right now. And change is just part of it. And that's why we love Aries, because Aries is like, yeah, I love change. Let's try that. Let's start over. Let's do it again and do it better, right? So that was our guidance. So we're technically done. So thank you, everyone. Happy spring. I want to hear about these new creative projects and new directions y'all going in and what kind of new identity and purpose is emerging for you. And so I can support that back too. So peace and love, y'all.